got another vitamin update, okay, or a mineral. I don't really know what melatonin is, but again, it's been popular for a very long time as a over-the-counter sleep aid. And you know what? Hey, whenever I've tried it out, I've never really found it to be that terribly helpful. It was mostly just something you could use very, very intermittently, but it looks like there's some unintended side effects that are just really helpful for your body. Melatonin affects thrombosis, sepsis, and the coof mortality rate. This is a great finding, okay? That's why I wanted to bring it to you guys. 2 key studies have identified the role melatonin plays in reducing the risk of a positive test of COVID and lowering the incidence of severe symptoms. Awesome. The new finding adds to a list of benefits linked to melatonin since the first discovered in 1958 by Dr. Aaron Lerner, a dermatologist who was able to isolate it from the pineal gland in a cow. The more you know. Scientists began studying melatonin in the 80s, and by the 90s it received more attention. Research data showed the melatonin influences a number of bodily processes, including calcium-dependent metabolism, immune modulation, and tumor growth, which it can restrain. This is the same sleep aid melatonin? I never knew any of this. I just knew it simply as a sleep aid. Although melatonin is produced in a variety of tissues, the major source is the pineal gland, a tiny endocrine gland found in the center of the brain. One of melatonin's initial functions is likely as a free radical scavenger. Interestingly, melatonin also functions in plants to reduce oxidative stress and promote seed germination and growth. Kind of, if you think about it from like a big picture view, it's kind of a similar process that's being carried out in both the bodies of a human and then of a plant, just like at a really big picture view, but that makes sense. The necessary precursors in plants and animals is tryptophan. Yes, the thing that's in turkey, and I know you guys have Thanksgiving if you're watching this in the States tomorrow, so congratulations for that and enjoy Thanksgiving because it's a wonderful little 4-day weekend that you get, and I'm not trying to diminish it or anything. It's just a much bigger deal in the States than it is up here in Canada, which is just kind of getting pushed off to the side more and more so, but need not go on that rant here. We're just talking simply tryptophan, turkey makes you sleepy, right? Your body controls the release of melatonin through a master circadian clock located in the area of your brain called the suprachiasmatic nuclei. I probably butchered that. Maybe I did. Don't really know. Don't really care. The area synchronizes the secretion of melatonin through a complex pathway of the nervous system affected by light input through the eye. Since melatonin helps control the sleep-wake cycles, it became popular to use to help control jet lag or support sleep. And then again, if you're also using electronics or anything that emits blue light to you late into the evening and that ends up delaying the release of melatonin in your body, that's also why it's become popular. So new data now demonstrates that melatonin may be beneficial in preventing complications in people with the coof. A study published in the Internal Journal of Infectious Diseases in October was initiated to look at the effects melatonin may have on adult patients with severe coof infections. They engaged 158 pages with the severe disease in the single center perspective randomized clinical trial conducted in Iraq. Okay, my friend. From December 1st to June 1st. Interesting. The patients were split into 2 groups. The control group, there were 76 who were given the standard therapeutic care only, and 82 intervention groups who received standard therapeutic plus 10 milligrams of melatonin per day. Physicians then evaluated the incidence of sepsis, thrombosis, and mortality in patients on days 5, 11, and 17. The researchers compared the data of the control group and the intervention group, and they found the significant reduction during the second week in thrombosis and sepsis in those that took melatonin. Interesting. And again, this is a very small sample size. This is promising developments. They also found that mortality was significantly higher in those that didn't take melatonin. Men made up 72.2% of the patients, and the mean age was 56 8.3 years with a range of 32 to 78. Researchers split the intervention and control group with no significant difference in relationship to comorbidities that increase the risk of coof, such as high blood pressure, asthma, diabetes, and heart disease. Alright, so it seems like two fairly similar and fair groups. At the end of the study, the researchers found a significantly higher group mortality rate in the control group of 17.1% than in the melatonin group of 1. Wow, that's a big difference, 1.2%. Melatonin was administered orally, as it normally is, just a little pill form. Improved thrombosis, sepsis, and mortality rates support the adjunct melatonin's efficacy, in mitigating this infectious disease. Given melatonin's superior performance as a cheap, highly safe, and readily available medication, it is strongly recommended to be addressed in in future studies. I'm sure it will be. Why is all of this hyperlinked? That's weird. Those new findings support earlier research published in late 2020 that showed using melatonin was associated with a 28% reduction in the likelihood of a positive test, of actually catching it. Interesting. Researchers began studying to identify potential treatment modalities using network medicine methodologies alongside clinical observations. The network medicine evaluates cellular networks and the implications those have on disease and treatment. Network medicine seeks out potential drug treatments by looking at how diseases are linked in the molecular level. The research used artificial intelligence to compare genes and proteins of SARS-CoV-2 alongside 64 other diseases. From this data, they identified conditions that were similar and that had approved drugs for treatment. Using the information, the researchers identified 34 FDA-approved drugs that use used to treat similar conditions that may be considered for repurposing in the treatment of the coof. The list of health conditions included autoimmune disease, pulmonary conditions, heart issues, specific antibodies, and cardiovascular conditions. From those conditions, the researchers identified medications, including melatonin, from a list of categories that include antibiotics, anti-inflammatories, hormones, beta blockers, and B2 agonists. After identifying those drugs, the researchers used the information alongside data of nearly 27,000 patients at the Cleveland Clinic, a little bit bigger of a pool to draw from. They adjusted from confounding factors such as age, smoking history, race, and a variety of disease comorbidities when they found melatonin use reduced the likelihood of a positive test by 28%. That's awesome. Let's get into more health benefits, shall we? And try to wrap this up. It's already running long-ish. Your body uses melatonin to help protect your overall health in several ways. How so? Melatonin is best known for its relationship that it has with your circadian clock. Although scientists have been discovering some of the benefits of sleep, it's known that melatonin is an underlying regulating molecule for sleep. There have been positive studies demonstrating the effects that melatonin has on the disorders associated with a dysfunctional melatonin rhythm, such as jet lag and shift work. Additionally, there is evidence of diminished production of melatonin in those with Alzheimer's disease in the early stages. Poor sleep quality increases the buildup of beta amyloid plaques that are integral in the progression of Alzheimer's disease. We talked about that not that long ago, the last time we talked about Alzheimer's. The discovery of this relationship between neurodegeneration and sleep offers a potential for using melatonin to promote healthy mental aging and in treatment of Alzheimer's disease in the early stages. Melatonin also helps regulate inflammation in the body, which has a significant impact on pain associated with rheumatoid arthritis and osteoarthritis, as well as many other diseases that your body has or could potentially have. Inflammation is the underlying cause of many things that are in your body, not just specifically arthritis, and it's iteratives. One paper published in 2015 investigated the relationship between melatonin and multiple sclerosis relapses and found that it ameliorates periods of relapse. They discovered melatonin affects T-cell differentiation and has implications for autoimmune disorders such as multiple sclerosis. Interesting. Range of effects that melatonin has on the human body is significant. A published research study in the Journal of Pernatology All right, demonstrated that early administrations of melatonin alongside hypothermia, body cooling, in infants who suffered asphyxiation during birth had a neuroprotective effect and ameliorated brain injury in the infants who received hypothermia and 5 days eternal doses of melatonin. Hypothermia, not like, trying not to kill anybody or anything like that, but just lowering the body temperature in a controlled environment. While there are likely benefits to supplementing with oral melatonin, it also helps to optimize your body's own production. It's relatively simple and inexpensive, and at the same time, it will help to optimize your vitamin D levels. More sunlight, gooder times. Optimizing melatonin production begins with getting enough bright sunlight during the day, since this helps set your circadian clock. So if that's not possible, if you live in a remote northern community, like, I don't know, some people out there maybe, getting natural lights, or at least the artificial ones that promote natural light throughout the day, or even just still, if it just happens to be daylight hours, just go outside, just brave the cold at least for a little bit, because that's important. It really is. And vitamin D, that's why we've had multiple videos on it on the channel, because it has a multitude of side effects that end up benefiting your life. As evening approaches and the sun sets, you'll want to avoid artificial lighting. Blue light from electronic screens and LED lights is particularly problematic and inhibits the production of melatonin. If you do need lighting, use incandescent light bulbs, candles, or salt lamps. Fun. The blue light from electronic screens can be counteracted by using blue blocking software or blue blocking glasses. So yeah, I always just thought that melatonin was merely a sleep aid, but it also helps you with the coof and a bunch of other cool things. That's awesome. And I'm glad that we had the opportunity to share that with you today. With that said, I thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo and want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.